Welcome to Champ Talk with Branden Hudson. I'm back with my friend Chet over here. Hey, Chet.
Hi.
Good. Glad you're here.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah, wonderful.
Thrilled.
Yeah, great, Chet. Awesome. Yeah, you really carry the show.
Can I get a coffee?
Yeah, we don't got a coffee for you, Chet.
Okay.
Yeah, we just don't. Anyway, me and Chet are beefing today. We're like two married couples, and we're just angry at each other.
That's two married couples. That's
and
worse.
one.
That's worse than one married couple, right?
Yes,
We're
like two married couples.
And it doesn't cancel out. It's just two married couples.
This is why we have problems. You ask the dumbest shit. You know what I mean?
You say the dumbest shit.
You know what I mean?
You want me to respond to it or not, or just not respond to it and give you a blank stare? Like, oh, he said that again.
This is my blank stare. Guys, if you get value from this episode, which most of you probably won't, please share this episode, like it, subscribe to the channel, and give us a testimony. Let us know how you feel, what you think, what you don't think, what you'd like to hear us talk about. Obviously, if we impact your life positively or effectively,
we don't care what you think. We want to know how you feel.
Yeah,
how do you feel?
But if we do impact your life effectively and positively, man, we'd love to hear about it. I love reading it,
or even negatively.
It makes me feel good. I don't want to hear any negative shit. Don't listen to Chet. He's going to be gone next week.
I think that'll be funny. Give us all your negative feedback.
Also, this episode is brought to you by God's Country Harvest. Listen, you guys are complaining about egg prices here on the Eastern Shore. Well, guess what? Their egg prices are cheaper in a mug, right? And they are very affordable. TJ, Tom, whatever he wants to be called.
He's been the egg man. Woo!
He's been a supporter of ours for a long time. He's had my back. He's supported me through before I had my gym and continues to support us, the movement, the culture, as Stellar Fights, everybody. So look out for him. It's God's Country Harvest. You can find him on Facebook. You can Google him. Give him a shout. DM me. Message me. We'll get you to hook up. All right, Chet. What's up, buddy? How you doing?
Wonderful.
Yeah?
Wonderful.
Yeah, you look like it.
Yeah.
You look like all the smiles on your face. Chet, you walked into the gym today. I said, fucking smile.
Yeah.
Slap a smile on that look and let's see your face.
Yeah. Didn't feel like smiling.
Yeah, you never do. You just stop smiling all of a sudden.
Sometimes I smile a lot.
You laugh at like the most darkest humor.
True.
And then you like don't smile about nice things like, you know, people being happy.
No, I do. That's not true.
Mm-mm. You've lost that.
I can celebrate that for others. Even
You've
more
lost that, dude.
Break people's faces.
That used to be that's what I hear a lot. I hear a lot more of breaking people's faces from you than anything else.
Huh?
Yeah, that's not the dynamic we have here.
Oh, I'm supposed to apologize.
You're supposed to be nice.
I'm sorry.
You're the nice guy.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. That's why it's intensified, because the nice guy, when he's not so nice or
finish last.
It's like, oh my God, what's wrong with you?
Yeah.
You're always so nice and smiling and just such a great guy.
Meanwhile,
yeah,
I'm finishing last. Better finish first. So we want to get on here today and talk about some cool stuff. A lot of stuff is going on with SBY MMA and fitness. For the listeners that don't know, you know, that aren't local, because we do have some listeners out in like, I saw the metrics. Again, we had a whole bunch of crazy listeners. Right, we had some out in like Midwest. We had some in California. I had some in England. A couple in India. I don't know why that was like that. You know what I mean? Weird.
Yeah.
But I keep getting random messages like, "Hey, let me see your bobs."
Any from Pakistan?
I mean, maybe. I don't know. But either way,
because I say that because I know what that is. They're trying to sell you geese.
Well, that's what I'm saying. It's either India or Pakistan. We get sold all kinds of merchandise all the time. You know what I mean? By the way, if you are listening, my Indian and Pakistani brothers, let me give you a little hint, okay? When you say "dear sir" or "dear madam," you already got us lost, okay? Work on your pitch a little bit better. You know what I mean? Warm me up a little bit before you ask me to take my pants off. Okay, let's get it a little bit more. It's called social media marketing, DM marketing, email marketing. It's a great thing. We know you guys got wonderful products. Quite frankly, here's the hiccup. I'm not going to spend about $5,000 or $10,000 with you across seas if my money's not secure. So my Indian and Pakistani brothers or any other country that's trying to sell me some merchandise, please take that note. Figure out how you can protect my money. Maybe we could do business, but right now, Hayabusa, and we have another one that's on Ducket right now. Yep.
Oh, what?
Yep. We got another. We got a big account we just secured, so we'll let that know later on. But yeah.
Oh no,
I got to look at the numbers. The numbers don't make sense, but we secured the account.
Okay.
Anyway, we got some cool things going on at SBY MMA and Fitness, and it's really cool, man. And right off the jump, you know what I mean. 2024 was an interesting year for us at the gym.
Yes.
Right.
For many reasons.
For many reasons. being a gym owner, and again, I go back, let me circle back. You know, if you guys don't know who listen from other areas and countries, I own SBY MMA Fitness. Chet's the manager. This is the studio. My office slash training hub slash studio, you know, is where we are located. So it's pretty cool because I have the Champ Talk studio here right in our gym. Our gym's a beautiful facility. Please go ahead and Google it, check it out. You know what I mean? It's look us up on Facebook, whatever have you, Instagram, all that shit. I've been in the business for, you know, I've been here with Pure Fitness. That's another thing. Our dynamic is pretty cool because I lease 10,000 square feet from a 75,000 square foot box gym called Pure Fitness. It's Pure Family Fitness. That's the brand. They've got 9 of them on the in Maryland and Delaware, and majority of them are here on the eastern shore of Maryland, the Delmarva Peninsula, I should say. And it's great. It's a beautiful facility. It works out. We can create the ultimate athlete here. You know what I mean? We've got a turf room downstairs. We've got all the benches and workout. I mean, 75,000 square foot is a lot of square feet, right? And
a lot of stuff packed in upstairs and downstairs.
Yeah, we got a lot of stuff, man. We got basketball courts here. I mean, it's just a nice model, right? A couple gyms have done this model. I know across the bridge, Ground Control, they've done this model with Exile Fitness. They did it right around the same time we did. You know, John Roller does a great job with what he's done for Maryland MMA and what he's done for, you know, the
countless fighters, athletes.
Yeah, dude. I mean, he owns Shogun Fights. I've modeled my whole business plan from him. You know, shout out to John Rollo,
the Godfather.
John's been always good to me, always great to me. All the guys over at Ground Control been great. You know what I mean? And you know, we've always had a nice admiration for them and knew that they were the top tier. And you know, for me, I'm not a jealous person where I get jealous of success. I look at it like, okay, they did it, I could do it too. How can I do it better? You know, and I model. And then I'm not the other person who tries to act like I made things up. Like nobody here is reinventing the wheel here, right? So for me, it was good that, you know, I was able to model.
There's something to be said for identifying all of the good stuff in things and using that and eliminating the downfalls.
100%.
Kind of putting it all together and making something that's a little, a couple levels above, most.
Yeah, 100%. And, you know, they've just done it. So anyway, we have that model here. And, you know, I've owned the SBY MMA brand we're going on 10 years in August. August would be the 10-year mark. I have officially had the LLC for 6.5 years now, right? No, about 6 years. Excuse me. We're at the beginning of the year. And when I formed the LLC, that's when I came over here with Pure Fitness and brokered that deal. I've been in the MMA business for over 15 years. You know what I mean? I've been a fan of it for longer. So I've got a little skin in the game. And last year was a trying year, you know? And then let me back up also so you guys get a full picture of perspective. You know, we started off with, when we started with Pure Fitness, we were actually downstairs. Mm-hmm. So Pure Fitness also owns the space that a big orthopedic company, Peninsula Orthopedics, you know, and this is not a plug for them. This is just what it is. They own, or they rent the space downstairs. It was another 10,000 square foot room that when we started, there wasn't really a place for us because everything was new. The gym was new. Everybody started as a fresh start. Nick Tagenpour and Tony Tagenpour, the owners of the Pure Fitness brand, you know, they started with Powerhouse. They changed, they rebranded, turned everything into Pure, and that's where we happened. They bought this building, they redid it. I think it started as a $2 million project, going to be like a $10 million project.
It's always the way it goes.
Yeah, it was a dirt road theory. Long story short, we got in here at the beginning phases, and they didn't really have a place to put us, and we didn't really have much going on anyway. We had ended up
It's still exciting times. I remember it.
Yeah.
Like, it's just when something's fresh like that.
It's always exciting.
Yeah.
Yeah. And we actually absorbed our jiu-jitsu school, our jiu-jitsu teacher, Miles Moffitt. He branded Southside Jiu-Jitsu. I'm actually coincidentally wearing the Southside Noon Goons Jiu-Jitsu shirt today. That was totally accidental. But he was my jiu-jitsu teacher. I was doing my MMA thing next door. You know, they had a little split inside their gym where a lot of their guys, you know, ended up packing up and starting their own thing. And, you know, Miles, and he could tell the story better, but long story short, Miles was basically, you know, pretty defeated after all that happened. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? It was one of the things that it blindsided him, it hurt him. And, you know, he wasn't sure if he was going to continue. And, you know, he knew I brokered this deal with Pure Fitness. He asked what he thought about joining with me. Let me think. bring me 90 students, tatami mats, been doing it for 25 years. No, it was a no-brainer, right? And you're the pioneer of jiu-jitsu on the Eastern Shore.
Right.
No-brainer. Miles Scoochie Moffitt's been doing it for 20-some years, 25, 26 years. He's a 4th-degree black belt in jiu-jitsu. He's been around for a long time. Anybody here locally remembers where the Dirty Bookstore was in front of the hospital, where they had the little, they thought it was karate, but it was jiu-jitsu that they were doing in there at the S-curve in Salisbury on 13. That's him, right? Anyway, so we had a good deal. So we started off downstairs, and then like a week before one of my fights, I'm cutting weight. They're like, "Oh yeah, you got to move. POA's ready to go." So we were like downstairs where it was like no finished drywall, no heat, no electric, just the typical come up story. Like
throw the mats in and let's go.
Yes, and we did our thing. Get upstairs. We have the upstairs is pretty big. It's a little over 10,000 square feet total. It's 10,000 square feet working space, but if you add like the studios and the office and the basketball courts, it's a pretty big space. And we only had the corner for a little while, 3,000 square foot. And I'm giving you guys perspective about this because the journey is always something remarkable. When we first got up here, I didn't have my fencing to be like a partition between all of the gym equipment that was up here on the second floor, and then our area, which was the corner, which was, again, it was like 3,000 square foot, which is a nice facility, but it wasn't the whole thing. So, and in the beginning, we literally had construction tape. Yeah. Tied to chairs that said, "Don't come into our area. We are very sacred here," right? It was ghetto as shit, dude. Ghetto as shit.
I remember carrying those damn lockers up. That's what I remember.
The lockers,
the mats,
the fences, the mats. It was something hell. And at the end of the day, we did our thing. We had a makeshift ring. We had 2 small bag rigs. We had about 1,000 square foot of matting.
It's funny how big those bag rigs looked when it was just one side up here.
Yeah. Now when it compared, So that was the journey, and then we survived COVID through that, right? We survived COVID through that, and we were deemed non-essential and locked out for 3 months, and that was weird because Pure Fitness really had us by the balls because they were by the balls. Yep. Had it been my storefront, I'm not gonna lie, I'd have been operating. You know what I mean? You'd have just had to, especially with everything we know now about everything, it would have been the right move to make, but we would have been operating. And but unfortunately, being as big as Pure Fitness is with over 8,000 members and, with such a target on their back and being so new at the time, and just nobody knew what was going on.
No, just had to play the game.
So we had to play the game. And so we survived COVID, and thank you. Big shout out to all of our members that stuck it out. We had around, I think about 120 members at the time that were during COVID, and we lost about 9 members.
Yep.
9, and it was very valid reasons. Some of them were non-essential. Some of them, had some issues. Everybody else really stuck through and hung out with us and really, kept the lights going because my bills didn't stop.
Right.
I had to continue to hang in there. And I my heart goes out to so many gym owners that lost their shit because, man, Maryland, even though it's riddled with all of its bullshit, like the taxes and everything else and the corrupt politicians and shit, Maryland, wasn't as bad as like places like New Jersey and places like New York where, these guys and gals literally lost their asses overnight. You know what I mean? So I think there was some states were closed for a whole fucking year. So we were very blessed, but we had to survive that. And again, I didn't really understand business like I thought I did. You don't know until you know. And once you're in it, you're in it. So anywho, fast forward after COVID, Nick came to me and was like, "Hey, look, we want to expand." At the time, the gym was 60,000 square foot or 50, and he wanted to add another 25,000 square foot next door because we had outgrown the space very quickly. Mm-hmm. And that about the time was when I just started making some money for the program, right? And we were stepping over everybody on our side. So, as classes were getting done, other classes were coming in, it was kind of getting to that point where like we needed to figure out what we were going to do. So I jumped off the ledge without a parachute and figured out, or jumped off the ledge, assembling the parachute on the way down and figured it out as we went. And, a lot of gym owners think like, well, at least combat sports gym owners, well, if I got, X amount of fucking people times X amount a month, subtract my rent, subtract this, then I'm going to make all this money and we're going to have good times and everybody's going to be happy-go-lucky and everybody's going to love it and da-da-da-da. And by far the fucking furthest from the truth. You know, it's I didn't know I needed a manager, right? I didn't know I needed a front desk. I didn't know I needed a bookkeeper. I didn't know I needed a marketing person. I didn't know all the things that you need, because as you grow and managing a facility like this and managing, 12, 13, 14 coaches at a time and 350 personalities plus families and stuff like that, it's a lot. There's a lot of moving parts. And as far as with me, if I'm running a podcast, if I'm running a real estate company, if I'm speaking on stages, if I'm, teaching, if I'm, family, all the things, you can only be with so many places at once. So,
it's not like that for every place either, because like you said, you don't realize all of that until you get to a certain point, but it's kind of like, we can go to this next level or not. And then you're faced with those choices.
Correct.
I mean, you need the rest of that stuff to keep going, keep growing. If not, it's like that's where you're going to be stuck.
Correct. And that's not everybody's model, and that's fine.
No.
That doesn't necessarily mean everybody has to have the same model as me. But for me, I've got a very incredible opportunity to be able to impact my community and impact the people that I care about, which is, the Eastern Shore and Salisbury and so forth, to be able to introduce combat sports to them. The model is we'll be in every Pure Fitness, before it's over with our brand and our facility. It's just, this is the biggest and the largest outfit that we got to figure out first, and we got to get there. And there's no secret that the economy's been pretty tough the past, 4 years, 3.5 years that we've been, post COVID, been treading water, you know what I mean? And trying to get through it. Groceries are high. Everything was high. You had so much political bullshit going on where everybody's battling and stabbing, nobody working together, and you got wars in the world, interest rates are up, you name it. I mean, the world's feeling the crunch, at least the country is, and hopefully with this new administration, we could see some change and see some things different. Will that happen? Won't that happen? We'll have to see, but at the end of the day, the past 3.5 years were pretty fucking tough, no matter, what your political views are, where you worked. There was a couple of bulletproof businesses and businesses that, were able to understand how to pivot. They did well. There's a lot of businesses that aren't doing so well. I know a business that closed up just last month, excuse me. And we were able to grow through that. We were able to continue to grow through that. Our gross either doubled or increased by no less than 50%. Our memberships increased, each quarter, each month, or each quarter and each year have grown, and we continue to do the work and continue to bring in people. And where I'm going with this, last year was a tough year. 2024 was a tough year. It was a cleansing year, I would like to say. It was a year that, good, bad, and indifferent. I lost some people. I lost some pretty important people, some people that I, held in high regards, and people that I cared about, and people that,
also that people that you poured a lot into,
and that's a part of the game. You know what I mean?
Right.
So we're not going to demonize anybody here, and we're not going to sit here and talk bad about anybody. What happens is the way it happens, and that's how it happens.
And it always does.
And it always does. The thing about it is that, regardless if it's mutual or if it's shitty or if it's, like I had to take people off the schedule, right? That weren't meeting our standard, and the thing about our schedule is that, or the thing about our coaching group is that, like, we have core values, right? FYE, fuck your excuses. Lead by serving, right? Servitude is a huge part of personal development, huge part of just the golden rule. Do the work. Team before me, and earn the right to win for your family. And you can take those core values, those 5 core values, deeper and talk about them. The great thing about core values and having them posted on your gym and having them talked about and having them recited is that's your managing tool. Whenever you have to address something within your organization or your team or wherever, or your family, you come back to the core values, right? Did you abide by the core values? Did you uphold the core values? Did you violate the core values? And when you make decisions like taking people off the schedules, that's what helps a business leader or any kind of leader, a business owner or any other leader, make those decisions. So, hey, did you honor the core values? How do we fall short? What can we do to get you back on track? But regardless of how you do it, whether it's you have to take people off the schedule, whether they leave in the middle of the night, don't say goodbye, whether they don't, however it happens, right? Whether they outgrow you, it always stings. It always stings. There's not a person in this world that can say that it doesn't sting when somebody leaves. Even the one, go ahead.
No, I say, it always does. And no matter, if it's a 50-50 thing, like you said, mutual, the middle of the night, and there's, at some point you stop pointing fingers and you got to move on, learn from it.
Absolutely. And even if it's something where somebody, it's mutual, like you're always going to feel the pinch or feel some sort of way. I don't care who you are. Even the people that you want gone, when it happens, it's like the motherfucker, right? or however it goes.
Why couldn't we have,
Yeah.
What would have made it better? Well, how could we?
And when I have issues like that, I'm always looking at myself. What could I have done differently? How could I have handled situations better? Did I honor the core values? Did I do everything as a leader that I could have done to provide leadership, opportunity, to provide the great path to whatever their goals and dreams are? Did I provide that, right? And 2024 was one of those years. It was a sifting year, it was a cleansing year. We had to get rid of, or it got rid of itself, the bad energy, the bad weight that was in the gym. You can have a standout person, you can have somebody who does all the things right in certain areas. If they don't fit the core values, and if they're not leading with integrity, right, then it doesn't work, because that becomes a cancerous part, a cancerous growth, right?
And somebody can go through the motions all they want, but it will reveal itself whether the rest of it's intact and positive. And
100%. And here's the cool thing about it, right? Is as much as it stung for a few of those people that left, and more later on left, and it's fine. The thing about me is I wish everybody well, right? I am way too blessed of as an individual to be worried about anybody and want anybody to do wrong, right? Or do bad. I don't wish any ill shit on anybody, right? When it comes to business, I'm going to always win in business. When we're talking about competition, I'm going to always win in competition, because that's how I'm wired. I'm not here. If it's business, I'm here to win, right? And I'm here to win ethically and right, but I'm here to win. You know what I mean? So when it comes to business, when I'm focused on winning at business, and that word is subjective, that means I'm focusing on making sure my organizations win. It's not about Branden. It's about you. It's about Gimp. It's about everybody that's in our organization. If I'm not winning for my guys and gals in my organization, then what kind of leader does that say about me, right? And if I'm going to act like or pretend or lie that that's not why I'm here, what kind of leader does that say about me? I'm not going to pretend like it's not about money. It is about money. It's always about money. It's about money because if my mission statement is to improve the quality of life of everyone around me through mindset and fitness,
it takes money.
It takes fucking money to leverage that tool to make that happen. I don't need Lamborghinis and fucking big jewels and all that shit. That stuff's cool. Don't get me wrong. And that's great. That's not what I'm talking about here. What I'm talking about is leverage. I'm talking about is tools. I'm talking about abilities to be able to impact others' lives. And just like we found out, by expanding into 10,000 square foot and by going through, not ensembling the parachute on the way down, it takes money to make money. It takes more people that you have to invest in your business and pour back into to be able to bring back a return. So for me, I'm always going to win in business because that's representative of the leader I am and the representative of my people that I care about. But what I looked at was I had two choices during that moment when, people did what they did and left or got taken off the schedule or snuck out in the middle of the night, whatever you want to say. I could have leaned in my ego and talked a lot of shit. I could have leaned in my ego and said, this motherfucker and that motherfucker and you this, that, and you that. And granted, you and I had plenty of conversations, and me and a couple of core people.
Oh, yeah.
But my students.
Well, you got to vent and get it out of your system.
Yeah.
That's for sure. Because like you said, it stings and you're human. So.
God bless Bethany. She's heard it all, right? But you know who hasn't heard my shit? Are my students. My students, my other coaches. They don't hear all the dramas that go on that I deal with on a consistent basis in supposedly the tough guy sport. And I say the tough guy sport.
Well, that's human nature is to take that and run with it and spread it.
100%.
Just like big virus, basically.
But I've said this for years. Since we had other, little ankle biters that have something to say. It's not, I have no issues with anybody, you know what I mean, in any realm. Any of the gyms here, when I got into this, I wanted to cross train with everybody, except for one, right? Wanted to cross train with everybody.
Mm-hmm.
My main mission was to unite the shore, right? Still is. Whether it's going to be through volunteer or whether it's going to be through force, the shore is going to unite, right? You can either be in or you can be out. You know what I mean? And I'm saying this with all, not this isn't a threat. This isn't to be trying to be. This is just what it is, because I understand growth and I understand money and I understand business, right? And I understand how to create culture and core values, these things that I'm trying to kick game to a lot of the people that are listening. So on the Eastern Shore, we're going to be united before it's over with, right? But I have no issue with any other gyms or facilities, even the ones I don't agree with. But you don't hear my drama and my bullshit go out into my students, because guess what? Then what happens is after the students have heard enough and they become little purple belts of themselves, or their balls drop, or they want to get an MMA fight, now all of a sudden they build their own perspective and build their own things. And then it becomes a us versus them thing. It's never going to happen with me. That's not what I'm promoting. You know damn well we've been involved in some group chat, or we've seen some group chats that I told all of my guys online. If any of my coaches say anything out of place,
not participate.
You're fired.
Yep.
You're fired. Anybody on my staff, anybody on my coaches, if you say anything online promoting any kind of ill other shit other than what we do. Now, some gyms love that shit. Some gyms, that's their model. Some gyms, they're internet trolls and they like to be the peacekeepers or whatever they want to be. That's your gym. We've got, we're pushing 1,000 members in the next 2 years that we're going to be responsible for. That's not going to fly here. That's not going to be our model. And in this tough guy business, you'd be surprised how many of them aren't tough. You'd be surprised at how many of them are fucking bitches, to be honest with you. In this tough guy gym business, the MMA world, you'd be surprised how sensitive and fragile these little boys and girls' egos are, that are not really tough like they pretend to be.
Because you said it, because it's an ego thing. It's
well,
not.
you can be, there's a, and this is going to sound so horrible, and I'm not trying to be that guy, right? But the joke where everybody's like, yeah, it's big in the MMA world. Man, I would train, but man, if I get angry, man, I just see red, right?
I had somebody that came into the front desk the other night, exactly that, and I had to quote that for him, and I was like, just stop it.
Yeah.
Just get in here.
Yeah.
Just knock that shit off.
I see red. I mean, it's okay, guy, right? We get it, right? We all think that that's what happens, but until you get in there with a trained fighter or somebody does this every day, a practitioner, you're seeing red is just a foolish perception of a reality that is not everyone else's, not in this world, right? On the other hand, before I was trained, I was around a lot of people that would fucking hurt you.
Yeah.
They would hurt you. They weren't trained fighters, but they could fight. They weren't gym fighters. They weren't but they could hurt you, and they would hurt you. They knew how to, there's a different dog in a lot of men and women that people don't grasp and realize.
Yes.
And a lot of you MMA guys that think just because you train MMA that you can beat all civilians, be careful with that.
Be very careful with that.
Because there's some guys and gals that do not give a fuck. And I can promise you, more of them don't give a fuck than do. And your ass, if you're training consistently and you're in a gym, you probably give a fuck a little bit more, because you've learned discipline, you've learned self-control, you've learned values, you've learned other things. And if you're around our groups, you know that you have more to lose, right? And I'm not trying to promote violence. I want you guys to track with me.
But there is an element that
there's an element. Yeah. It's like when you used to have the black belt in karate that would, like, I'm a black belt and then get beat up by, somebody just to punch him right in his fucking face.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Then you got the gym heroes, right? Then you got guys and gals that, never really fought, or maybe 1 or 2 fights in their life, come to the gym to get skilled. They spar all the time. They fight all the time. They even compete. These are real tough guys. But again, a lot of them don't have that dog in them. And there's a big difference. There's a big difference between a gym tough guy, a street tough guy, and then a gym and street tough guy. And that's the kind of message that I want people to understand. And I'm not trying to talk big. There's a different level when you deal with somebody that came from nothing and had to fight for everything that they've ever had in their life, including had to fight for their dignity. Mm-hmm. And then they find a sport like MMA, and they find a sport like combat sports, and they learn how to be fight, and they learn how to suppress that and push that away. That's a whole different animal. Yeah. Right? That's a whole different animal. And
a lot of battles being fought.
100%. And you don't want that war with that person. You don't want that person to flip that switch and go back, right? Because that person's always there. They just learn how to control that person and negate that person and push that person. But you don't want to deal with that person when it goes left, right? Because that person knows how to hurt you. Now he's trained how to hurt you, and they don't give a fuck. They do not give a fuck. And unfortunately, we've seen so many cases where people have wasted their entire lives because they didn't know how to manage and negate that, right? I know that person. I know that person very, very well, okay? And I'm so proud of the fact that MMA's brought that person as to front and center and said, hey, we're not going to be that guy anymore. But so anyway, I digress a little bit. You'd be surprised how many tough guys there's not in this gym, or not in this gym world. But at the same time, right, I had a choice to make when we were talking about how my ego was hurt and how I was hurt and how it stung when these people left. And I could have made the choice to lean into my ego and tell all my students and tell all these things because, again, I don't want my students or anybody else's students fighting each other over stupid shit that leaders shouldn't be having issues with, right? I get hated on by a gym, a couple of gyms, probably all the gyms, to be honest, but I get hated on, and they hate to their students about me.
Yeah.
One of them hates to his students about me. Now his students' balls dropped a little bit. They thought they were going to be a little cute online and shit, right? Like, bro, you don't know what you're putting your students in the fire of. You're
doing a huge disservice.
Huge disservice.
It's really on some level abusive almost.
It's irresponsible.
Well, for sure.
It's irresponsible. Because what happens when all these bullshit beefs spew into the student? This isn't fucking the 90s when the Gracies are running the gauntlet on the world. Now everybody knows, every city, every state has a gym. Everybody knows about this world. We all are hip and aware of this. It's no different than you don't know who you're sitting next to on the subway or in the library, who might have a gun or who might not. You don't know. Everybody knows what's going on now. So now you're talking about pouring this dumb shit, this cancer into your students. Now your students build up a perspective and a perception about other students. Now you got students be the last thing I ever wanted was any of this drama and this beef. Guys, I used to sell drugs for a living. I used to be around worlds where I was outnumbered every day. I used to have to worry about people stabbing me and shooting me and jumping me and no referee pulling people off of me. I used to have to step up and have to make decisions. See, a lot of these guys like to promote this life, how, oh yeah, I was selling drugs and I was doing this, but they don't talk about the underworld because they didn't fucking experience, because you were a fucking college kid or some suburban kid or you were some junkie that sold a couple bags, you think you're a fucking drug dealer. I'm not telling you this life is great. What I am telling you is there's a big fucking difference when you're in the fucking trenches, dude.
Huge.
In the trenches.
Huge.
And I used to be in the trenches, bro, for decades. Not just a couple not little periods. I wasn't a junkie. My addiction was not addicted to the drugs. I was addicted to the life and to the money. And I've got scars on my face, not from MMA, from that world. I've been through some shit. I've had to get through some shit. That is not a fucking world that I'm promoting and saying is a good life. But that is a level of this shit in MMA and combat sports saved me from that. It saved me from that before I even realized it was saving me. See, God's got a plan for a lot of people, and that plan was put in perspective way before I even realized what was happening, right? So what would I look like being a leader, spewing my pain and my suffrage and my anger and my frustration and my ego into my students? That's why they don't know none of this shit. They don't know nothing about what happened with Southside. They don't know nothing what happened here not too long ago. They don't know nothing about any of the beef. Nothing with Ocean City. None of it. None of it. Because that's not what we talk about. It doesn't really just take the same amount of energy to keep doing the good stuff, the positive stuff, and creating those the success stories that we see all the time. 100%. And that's where I'm getting to.
Why wouldn't you put that energy into that versus
100%? Great segue, my brother. Great segue. You're on it today. I know you ain't talking much, but when you do say something, it does mean something. Maybe we'll stay together.
That's kind of how I am.
So I had a choice to make: lean in on my ego and spread hate and spread frustration, or stick to the fucking core values in the mission statement. And the mission statement and the core values remain the same. Fuck my excuses. People are gone, they're gone. It is what it is. I need to lead by serving. I'm not serving anybody while I'm focusing on drama, negativity, and shit that don't promote or grow or push the needle. Do the work. Sometimes you motherfuckers just need to shut up and do the work. Sometimes you just got to be quiet and just do the work. Put your head down. Team before me. That was a big one. That was something we added
Yeah.
That was the last draw to a couple people because they were not putting the team before themselves. It was always them before the team.
Yep.
And one would say, well, you got to be selfish with your training if you're going after your career. What fucking career? What career? A lot of people, a lot of MMA fighters get fucked up with this game called career, right? They get mixed up with this title. I'm a professional fighter. It's my career. Oh, well, why do you work a job? Oh, well, why are you getting paid from that? I know what the promoter. I'm a fight promoter myself. I know what the promoters pay. That ain't a career. How do you consider that a career? Oh, you mean the pathway that I have laid out and showed you how to market yourself, how to build yourself up with sponsorships, how to get a personal training license and personal training in the gym, all these things. That's a fucking career. But if you don't want to do the work, if you don't want to push the needle and you just want to show up and expect everything given to you, then you're always going to be broke. Have you ever noticed that the people that are broke don't work? No, excuse me. Have you ever noticed that people scream about being broke, don't work? It's always the same thing. You don't get paid if you don't work.
Somehow they find out ways to make things happen though too, which is really funny.
That's a temporary solution.
Yeah,
That's a temporary solution.
And you know what I'm saying, but it's
does it really happen?
Yeah.
No.
But then I mean, a lot of them get caught up in the. I mean, you know, it's always the grass is greener thing. You know, chasing shiny objects, and I mean, how many people do you know too that it's I'm gonna go over here now. Like you're always searching for that team, that fan. It's like because you didn't want to do things that it was so obvious would be a positive path for you, something fruitful for you, something to help you get to your goals. But no, I'm going to jump over here and do this.
Yeah, well,
and you can spend a lifetime doing that shit.
People
like
do.
Literally, and not just combat sports. I mean, anything.
Yeah, people do. Yeah, we're not just talking about combat sports here, ladies and gentlemen. We're being very, very. Combat sports is the example that we're using. We're being very. It's a blanket statement of this is all areas. This is relationships. This is faith. This is business. This is personal. There's so much more that we're talking about than just combat sports. That happens to be the example. And the last core value that I had to lean in on was I had to earn the right to win for my family, because that's always been the mission. The mission has always been I'm earning my right to win. See, people think that they deserve to win just because they put in the work. You can put in all the work in the world. You don't get to win. There was a whole bunch of more talented fighters in stellar fights during the 10 years, 15 years that I competed that were way more talented and worked just as hard as I did, and they didn't win. They didn't win. Whether it was whatever, they just didn't win. There's a lot of people in MMA that don't become champions. They win, they go to the next stage, but they don't become champions. And when you have to earn the right to win, that's more than just doing the work. You know what I mean? You're going out here and you're doing all of the things. You're looking on your internal journey. You're looking at building others. You're looking at servitude. You're looking at all the things, right? So I had to lean in on my core values, and I had to lean in on servitude, and I had to lean in and go through the pain of the sifting of how difficult and frustrating and uncomfortable and unfair and all the things that it was, with a smile on my face and serving my organizations and my community every single day without hearing all the whispers and hearing all the chatter and hearing all the hate and hearing all the stuff. I had to go through that, right? And what came of it? When you're in the trenches, it feels like forever, but when you look back at it, it's been less than a year. And now we've got a fucking powerhouse of personnel here right now. Our guys and gals right now are fucking legit. The coaches right now all fit the core values, right? We don't got anybody worried about, any kind of bullshit. We had some bullshit going in the past. They're
also the first ones to take a look at those core values as something that's not going and kind of self-identifying first, or with the help of a conversation. And guaranteed, it's like there's something's been tweaked or somewhere.
Absolutely.
That, and it's like, okay, well, at least, and now I have kind of some guidelines where I can go back and figure it out quicker than maybe somebody that doesn't have those guidelines.
Sure. And I mean, you take like Coach Greg and Coach Louie for an example. I mean, these are our newest coaches to the combat side. Both of them been in the cage. Obviously Louie's a champion. These guys have been winning. Like, we just keep winning. And I mean, we'll lose. I mean, everybody loses. But what I'm saying is majority of the people, you know, we just hung up all the belts since we got the place paint. It's like, damn, it's a lot of fucking belts at SBY MMA and Fitness has won. It's a lot of belts at SBY MMA and Fitness has won. You know, SBY. SBY's tattooed on motherfuckers' legs. You know what I mean? Mine. You know what I mean? Other people's. Louis. Like, it's common. Like, that's what we do, our championship. Like, people, we're happy about that, right? And again, this isn't about anybody. You take this personal, fuck you, I don't care. This is about what we are doing. The lesson of all this is about how you have a choice when you're facing adversity and you're facing bullshit. You can choose to lean in on that bullshit and let that take you away from moving the needle and pushing the envelope of growth, success, happiness, leadership. Or you can go back to your core values, put your head down, do the work, and watch how the fruits of your labor will blossom. It's about to be springtime, and that analogy fits so well because we have a bunch of fucking young, hungry fighters that are about to make huge noise.
I can't wait.
Here locally.
I can't wait.
Huge noise
I mean,
locally.
you see it in action here, and you know it's behind it. I think that makes it even more special when you see them doing their thing for whether it's 3 minutes, 5 minutes, 10, 15 minutes in the ring, in the cage, on the mats.
Bro.
Getting to see that all the time and just the growth and progression, it means so much more. It's that much more incredible when you see them in action. And I can't wait for that shit because
and you know I'm always right.
I know
I'm always right. I
I
predict the future. I tell you what's going to happen. We've got episodes after episodes after episodes. If you go to the backlog of Champ Talk, where this man can prove that I've always stuck to the guns and been right. And why is that? Why I'm always right? I'm not this mythical fucking creature that can see pat. No, I do the fucking work. I put my fucking head down. I do the fucking work, and I make sure that we just stick to the plan. And the plan is not about Branden Hudson. It's not about Chet Cornman. It's not about your top fighter. It's not about it's about SBY. It's about the organization. You put the house first. You do what you're supposed to do for the core values and the mission statements of the house, of whatever house, your personal house, your business house, the business you own's house, the one you work for. It doesn't matter. Stop trying to rewrite the blueprint when you've not even lived long enough or done anything worth doing. That's
why it's never this huge surprise. It's interesting, it's fun, and we laugh about it, but it's really not a surprise because you said it about, it's the blueprint.
Yeah.
Like you figured some things out and dialed some things in, and look, if you stick to that, look what happens. Wow. That's not, I mean, yes, there's lots about it that's very special, but it's really not a surprise at this point.
No.
But I can still laugh about it. I was like, man, that motherfucker was right again.
It's not surprising because we understand what today's work yields 6 months to a year from now. You know what I mean? We get that concept. Most people struggle with that. Most people give up. They quit their jobs or they jump ships or whatever they do. They can't understand that it's not always going to be shiny and it's not always going to be fun. It's going to be, tough and miserable and stuff like that. The proof's in the pudding. The receipts are in the pudding. Like, you know what I mean? I know what my taxes are every year. I know what we file every year, right? So, and again, this isn't me trying to throw up receipts like I'm bragging. We're nowhere where we need to be. I'm nowhere near making money, in my opinion. But again, we're front loading and building what we're doing. Our growth and what we've done in SBY, a combat sports gym. Again, folks, combat sports is a luxury ticket item. That is not a something that's a necessity. I'm battling strictly business. This isn't a dig on anybody, strictly business. I'm battling other facilities and other gyms in my marketplace that they have multiple experienced high-level people, more than we do, and they do, that charge low-level prices, right? So get this straight. You have X amount of black belts or X amount of experienced people, but you're charging under market prices, right? That's what I battle. But our growth quarter after quarter, year after year subsides, and we're looked at like we're the big bad wolf. Of course we are. We do it right. With all these experience and all these things, again, our model is the same thing. MMA. What are we doing? Winning MMA fights, winning kickboxing fights, putting MMA champions together, winning kickboxing championships, helping our guys and gals move on to the next thing. That's what we've always been the same. We've never went out and said, well, we're the best jiu-jitsu, we're the best boxing, we're the best. We always stayed the same. Always stayed the same. And look at what's happening. And that's why the receipts are there. And that's why, I get it. I get it. It doesn't fit for everybody, and that's cool.
And all of the stuff that's not seen and not that evident that we know and we see because we know the people, but and we talk about this constantly, and maybe even more so lately. But just the improvement, in the gym, but outside of the gym, the personal growth. I mean, that's just a huge thing.
Absolutely.
I mean, it's nice to have all those belts on the wall, but there's so much more behind that. And even there's not a belt on the wall for somebody. I mean, they're still winning. Yeah. Winning huge.
Winning in life.
And it's kids, it's the adults.
Winning in life. I got kids teaching adults life lessons. Winning in life. So, again, I got haters. I got a bunch of haters. Do you? Because I was always told, if you ain't got no haters, you're doing something wrong. You know what I mean? If everybody's your friend and everybody's getting along with you, and here's another thing. If I come up in your conversation or conversations that's being had around you multiple times, sorry, I'm winning. Sorry, we're doing, not even that. Let me stop being cocky. Sorry, we're doing what we're supposed to be doing. Because that's what it all comes down to. We're doing what we're supposed to be doing here. We're doing the same thing that we did when we started off, wanting to unite the Eastern Shore and unite combat sports. We're doing the same thing that we've always done, and the fruits of our labors are being shown off. So, big lesson to put a bow on all this. You're going to have moments in your business, in your family, in your faith, in your organizations, in your life, where it's going to be easier to lean into the bullshit, into the negativity and the drama, and to the thing that your ego is fighting you on. It's going to be easy to lean into that. It's going to be easy to get people on your side and get people to want to co-sign, that shit and listen to you and start that drama. I strongly suggest shying away from that and going back to your core values, going back to the work, going back to the things that got you to where you are in the first place, because we're seeing so much growth, we're seeing so many fruits of our labors because of that. And I'm just thankful that I had the know-how and the people around me to help me make that decision when those times were tough, because it was a hard decision. It was a tough decision. And
I'd say it takes a step further. Say actually, challenge people to lean towards those core. And maybe you don't even know. I know, and we post this kind of stuff once in a while too, on the social pages, like, what are your core values? Yep. And we'll tell you what they mean here. Yeah. And not everybody's are going to be the same, but what are yours? What works for you?
And you can have mine
on the positive. Tweak it, come up with. But I mean, most people, I never did till you brought it up. And first I was kind of, it's corny motivational bullshit and my core value, fuck yours. And then you started thinking about it. It's like, wow, that's something I never really thought about that consciously. It's always there to a degree, but put some thought into it. And like, what really, again, it's just some helpful guidelines. Everybody's got them. You just need to uncover it, I think.
Yeah, get them written down and get them viewed. Let your whole organization, let your household, let everybody see them, because he's 100% right. You just don't know what you don't know. But guys, that'll do it for another episode of Champ Talk with Branden Hudson. Man, thank you so much for listening. If you guys made it this long through this episode, we greatly appreciate you. We appreciate all the clicks, all the likes, all the subscriptions, all the comments, all of it. It means so much to me that I've got people that actually listen to this and Chet that actually listen to this and like it. Also, please don't forget, like, subscribe, give us a testimony. Let us know something about the channels. If you get value from this, send it to somebody. And a big thank you to God's Country Harvest and Thomas Hornsby. He's always been a supporter. Guys, what are you doing today to become a champion?